So this is not the way that we thought this story would go down. Ever since Calgary Flames goaltender Jacob Markstrom chose Calgary as his free agent destination all those years ago, we all thought that this would be the start of something great. And for a good few years, it actually was great. Markstrom was a good goalie sometimes. Okay, he did have a few bad years in there. But for the most part, when the Calgary Flames were one of the best teams in the NHL, Markstrom was backstopping them with Vezina-nominated goaltending and a fairly good winning record in these years too. Now, Marky Mark, as his career went on with Calgary, had to go through a few odd years where the team traded away some stars, they let some other stars go away in free agency, they tried to recuperate assets by signing guys and trading for guys, but the Calgary Flames now are not in that spot anymore, especially with that season that they just had. They traded away Zadorov, they traded away Hanifin, they traded away Tanev, they traded away Lindholm, they traded away everybody of importance, pretty much except for Backlund. He's the only one who decided to actually stay. But when it comes to Jacob Markstrom, his contract does expire next year, and there already were reports saying that he had accepted a trade to New Jersey before that trade ended up not going through. With this in mind, we have ourselves a few odd updates as to where the Jacob Markstrom trade conversation has gone, and what I wanted to do was refer to Kevin Woodley, who made an appearance on Flames Talk earlier yesterday, and what he had to say about the Jacob Markstrom situation. Now, Kevin Woodley works for In Goal Magazine and NHL.com. He's a primary goalie guy, so when he made his appearance, he ended up having a very interesting segment on Marky. This was cut and posted onto the In the Dome podcast Twitter account. It's a 52-second long clip. I'll leave a link in the description to both the podcast episode and this clip by itself. But when it comes to what Kevin Woodley says about Jacob Markstrom, this is the latest scoop that we have. In the past week or so, a couple of people who are close to Jacob Markstrom and his camp and would know, after talking to them, I think the ship has sailed. As a matter of fact, I think the Flames know that there is no intention of Markstrom coming back. And obviously they control his future, but I believe that that request has been made, that he wants to play somewhere else, preferably for a team that has a chance to compete. I can't say how much of that is because of the way things went down, and I've talked before about him being asked to waive his no trade, or no move, more than once, and granting that permission, then not having it come through, versus how much of where the team is at and how much of a rebuild they're looking at versus being competitive right away. But at the end of the day, there's a reason his name is out there, and it's not just because it was out there at the trade deadline. It's out there because I don't believe Jacob Markstrom has any intention of playing for the Calgary Flames again. Very strong words there from Kevin Woodley, and from this point on, you can't really go out there and fault Jacob Markstrom for anything. The way this guy has played, the way he has been treated, the point wherein he is at in his career, he is a goalie who is exiting his prime, still good, of course, but maybe not the Vezina caliber goaltender that he was a few years ago, playing on a team that has just traded away all of their major pieces and is looking to get that retool on the fly started and in full swing. They're trying to get younger, Markstrom is getting older, and with him already being asked to waive multiple times in the past and him saying okay, it puts the Flames in a very difficult spot when you acknowledge that they weren't actually able to trade him. They said, hey, you want to get traded? We need you to get traded. And he's like, okay, fine. And then they didn't trade him. In a way, it's kind of disrespectful to be asking the guy and putting him in a spot to accept a move only to not move him. You're debating your own player. Come on, Calgary. With this in mind, let's go out there and look at what Pierre LeBrun had to say on the earlier edition of TSN Sports Center. This was posted onto tsn.ca. I'll also leave a link in the description to this. This was from earlier 2 days ago on the 6th. The Devils and the Flames have reignited Markstrom talks, and other teams are also interested. What I love about this article is the text goes out there and transcribes everything LeBrun said, and there's a video included, so if you want to go out there and listen to it instead of read it, it's all available for you. So with this in mind, let's go out there and screenshot what Pierre LeBrun had to say, reporting how conversations are taking place between the Calgary Flames and the New Jersey Devils. But he also notes that New Jersey is not the only suitor for the 34-year-old Jacob Markstrom. Those conversations with the Flames have taken up again. We know that those two teams almost had a deal done before the trade deadline earlier this season, before March 8. It fell apart, but the Devils remain interested in Markstrom, and importantly, Markstrom has a full no move, but my understanding is he's willing to go to New Jersey. There are other teams that weren't there on Markstrom before the trade deadline that have now entered the picture. The Flames are getting calls from multiple teams on Markstrom, not just from the Devils. At this point in time, there's still a difference of opinion on the return on what it should cost the Devils to get Jacob Markstrom out of Calgary, and the Flames are willing to be patient in terms of having a team meet their price. LeBrun reported earlier in March that the one holdup on the trade was the Flames' unwillingness to retain salary on Markstrom, who was signed to a $6 million cap hit till 2026. Speculation around a potential deal went all the way up to the deadline, but the Devils were ultimately forced to turn elsewhere, acquiring Jake Allen and sending Vitek Vanacek to San Jose. This article then goes over some extra comments from Markstrom saying, yeah, I think everyone in here, every player in here, I really respect them. Everything that's been going on and not going on, how everyone in this room has handled everything, I think that's been really good, you know? The whole situation and everything, am I happy about that? No, I'm not. And I think it could have been handled a lot differently from up top. So, Marky already had some comments earlier in the year where he pretty much criticized the Calgary Flames management for doing this in the way that they have been, where they're just kind of fishing things around, things are leaking, asking Jacob Markstrom to waive and him accepting only for him to not get traded, so there's a lot of inconsistency here, but now we are finally seeing the Flames and the Devils take things back once again. You gotta remember the timeline as to how things went as well. It was reported that the Flames asked Marky to waive to New Jersey, he said okay, but then the trade couldn't get done because New Jersey didn't want to take on Markstrom at the full salary cap, and Calgary didn't want to retain. Eventually, the Devils said, okay, well, screw that, we'll go with Jake Allen, we'll get Capo Kakinen, and that is exactly what happened. At that point, we had the Flames say, okay, fine, you can take Markstrom, we will retain, we're good with it. And then the Devils were like, no, sorry, like, we're already done here, we have other guys we're thinking about, and you took too long to decide that you would be okay with retaining, so sorry. Well, now we have those conversations reopened up, and there are other teams involved here too, which could make it interesting. There could be some sort of a bidding war if you wanted to push that narrative out here for Jacob Markstrom. But from the idea that was already shared on the Flames Talk podcast and show, where Kevin Woodley said that Markstrom already wants out, that there is no intention for him to play in Calgary again, I feel like this entire waiving situation, he'll waive pretty much anywhere, I guess, as long as he gets away from Calgary. Of course, maybe not a rebuilding team. He's got to be okay with the direction of whatever team it is that he's going to, but still, any reasonable team that is acquiring a Jacob Markstrom is not going to be a rebuilding team anyway. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Firstly, about the Markstrom to New Jersey conversations opening up again. Secondly, about the idea of Markstrom not wanting to be back via Kevin Woodley, the idea there that Markstrom has no intention of suiting up for the Calgary Flames once more, almost in a way forcing a trade to happen. And also, what are your thoughts on the cost? What is it that the Flames could get for Markstrom, especially at this point where now it's been so publicized that he would want to go out of the Flames in their system? What are your thoughts on the leverage that could be present or not present here anymore as the Calgary Flames try to get as much as they can for a goaltender that they could have traded at the deadline, but ultimately just did not manage themselves properly enough to do so? I'm not going to say the Flames are a total disaster. I mean, they did some stuff right, trading away a bunch of their guys. You could debate the magnitude as to what they got in return was actually worth it or not, but still, they made the decisions, and that, I feel, in itself is okay. It's just, at this point, you have to recognize, okay, how far are they going to go? Where is this Jacob Markstrom conversation going to go? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're a Devils fan, a Flames fan, or a fan of any other team, what are your thoughts in the Markstrom conversation? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.